Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fifth session for Innobooster program. It's really pleasure to have today's uh, partner of iSkyle Hub, Tamas Szeker, or Tamas, please correct with your name, and really important session as we identified the trouble that many of startups here are really great in research and innovation. But the most tricky part is how to sell this product, right? Who is your business development management, or how to create first contract. And actually today's session probably one of the most important one in the whole program, because it's really painful moment for developing startups. It's not enough just create startups, you need to sell. So, and really great pleasure to have Tamas, who will tell us how to do this, right? And as I know, I think this seminar, this workshop was already delivered in many of European universities, I think even in Oxford. So Tamas, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself and go ahead with the seminar. And you startups, please be active as usually. Ask questions, raise your hands, show emotions, if possible, switch on the camera so the speaker can see you and really interact with you.
Yeah, we can also see the faces. Thank you very much, Elena, for the introduction. And again, I absolutely agree with you that I believe, today's session, specifically focusing on B2B sales and B2B sales prospecting, I believe could be super relevant for you if you're looking to identify, find, and reach out to potential new clients. I know that many startups in the ecosystem, and I'm pretty sure that also many of you are struggling with that, or at least you experience some sort of challenges. So I'm here today to help you with that how you can do it in an effective way. According to statistics, and it's pretty crazy, that 42% of startups fail because there is no market need for the products or services that they are offering. So this actually means that almost half of this group, you guys might fail because no one would like to buy your products or services. And it's also true when you are expanding internationally. You are trying to penetrate new markets. So I'm here today to help you to be in the 58% and to see how we can increase the conversion rates and fill your pipeline with potential leads. So in today's session, let me just go to the next slide. Sorry for that. Yeah. In today's session, let me just start with a quick introduction. So my name is Tamas Szeker. I work as an international business development strategist and advisor. I mainly work together with consulting companies and also with startups, and I help them to build business relationships globally. And I also advise them on the international business development strategies, B2B sales strategies, and basically help them how they can fill their pipeline and basically reach out to potential new clients. At the same time, I'm also co-founder and partner of iScale Group. We basically are a global consulting firm specializing in innovation management, together with engineering solutions and legal consulting arm. And what we basically do specifically within innovation management, we work together with universities and governmental organizations as an innovation partner, and we design, develop, and run complete innovation programs, startup programs, international market entry programs for them. And we help the alumni basically to gain strong early traction, to acquire clients, raise funding, and scale globally by sharing your field experience in specific topics like business development, B2B sales, fundraising, and international expansion, among others. At the same time, we've also gained really international experience in the ecosystem. I've personally lived in 6 different countries across 3 continents. I'm also from the region, I'm from Hungary, but I've had the chance to live in France, in South Korea, in Malaysia, and also in Colombia and Spain. I'm based now in Barcelona, and I'm working here globally, supporting different ecosystem players. So I'm here today also to share this kind of experiences, these practical experiences that I saw in the ecosystem, and also to share with you how I normally generate 80% open rates and around 30–40% response rates when it comes to cold outreach to potential clients. So this workshop is specifically designed, it's not about selling, it's not about closing deals, not about signing contracts, but it's more about how you can fill your pipeline and how you can actually get market feedback when it comes to international expansion and when it comes to validating your product in the market and getting the first customers, or even scaling your sales processes and find a way how you can optimize this sales prospecting process. With regard to the aims of the workshop, on one hand, I'd like to give you a structured approach for how you can initiate new business opportunities. I also want to give you a guidance on how you can design a winning outreach campaign. And I also want to share my personal good practices with you. So these practices that I've already mentioned, how I generate 80% open rates, for example, what are different tools that I'm personally using, how I draft a cold email or follow-up emails. This session is going to be really, really practical, guys. That's I'm really hoping that you will find it useful. With regard to the agenda, so this is what we're going to have today. I'm going to start first with more like on the general like introduction into sales prospecting, including the key challenges there. And I'm going to drive you through a step-by-step process on how you can fine-tune this process and increase the conversion rates. And I'm pretty curious that what do you think, guys, and what are you hoping to get out of today's session? I really want to, provide you with the biggest value. So I'm really, really open that what do you think and what are you hoping to get? What are you looking to hear about today? If anyone wants to share anything, I'm in ears.
Hello, guys. Don't be shy. I mean, really, it's opportunity to torture your speaker, and then if he doesn't really fulfill your expectations, you can be nasty.
Exactly. So these are the topics that I prepared for today, but I'm always really flexible. The idea is really to give you the biggest value. So I'm happy to talk more about certain topics or also cover extra topics that you might be interested in.
Well, for example, our startup is technology based. In our team, there are only technology people or people who never did sales. Mm-hmm. And we get known that before we will hire some salesperson, we don't have money for that. We need to educate ourselves how to do the first sale and how to educate the salesperson to do that job properly regarding our product. So we are in the sales absolutely amateurs.
Yeah, don't worry, Tamas, right? If I pronounce your name properly, you're in right hands, because I absolutely agree and understand you. And I also many times I work with startups that have no experience in sales specifically, but this workshop and these steps will help you to have an idea that how to identify and reach out to these people. What comes after? I also cover qualification more or less, but what comes after the sales negotiations, I'm not covering in this session, but I have another one. Maybe I can share it with you, or we can also discuss it separately. I also have some materials that I can share with you. So I'm really hoping that I can contribute to the success of your sales activities. But just feel free to interrupt me, or if you have any questions during the workshop. Okay, so don't worry, because the idea is to help you with that.
Okay.
Anything else, or anyone else wants to share something?
Share about, I'm sorry, I have a call for a few minutes, and for share for what? Can you repeat, please?
Could you please repeat to share?
You ask that if want somebody to share, and I want to understand, share what? Our
expectation from the session.
Any expectations? So these are the topics that I'm covering today. If you have any expectations, anything you'd like to hear about, you'd like to add, just let me know.
Mm-hmm. I see that you really clarify a great material, and I think that we can discuss during your lecture.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I'm also going to share the slides with you. Okay, so you're going to receive everything. And I've also built in some questions, some kind of like, let's say, test questions after each and every stage, just to check the understanding of different topics. So this is how the session is designed for today. So if you guys are ready, then let's get started. And before we jump in and start designing, any kind of like strategies and, like think about like how we can fine tune the whole process, I'm pretty interested that how would you personally define sales, prospecting, and lead generation? I many times hear that prospects and leads are used interchangeably by startups and also salespeople, even though, yes, they have the same objectives, but at the same time, they're also different. So how would you define, first of all, a prospect and the lead?
I can share my thing about it. Prospect, it's our potential customer.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe lead it's the same because it's our
Both
potential.
potential, right?
So,
Both have the potential to become clients. But what is the difference? Like when you use the words prospects, leads, how would you use them in what context?
Maybe last time we use offer lead generation if we talk about digital and prospecting if we talk about non-digital offline sphere. Maybe, but I'm not sure that it is the right way. But in real life, we in our company use this often in this sphere.
It can be company specific actually, but I wouldn't like stick to, digital, non-digital. Both can be digital and also non-digital. So it's like one channel, like how you can do these activities. What about the activities themselves, like sales, prospecting, or lead generation? What do you mean by that? Or how would you define these activities when we discuss it in the startup world or when it comes to sales?
It can be a lot of different ways. For example, now we check the lead generation in LinkedIn, in B2B segmentation. Lead generation, we can make a pre-order advertisement for B2B client, for B2C clients in social media, sales prospecting, and now I can understand difference. I will tell about both of this. We are looking for our avatar of client because we have a B2B and B2C avatar, and we are looking for that because, for example, we developed the IR platform for rehabilitation Achilles tendon, and we have 3 direct of clients. The first, it's B2B clients, professional sport clubs, rehabilitologist center, and etc. The next, it can be used for reduce the back pain for office workers. It's another a big office company who really take care about their employees, and we are looking for this company. We find information about it, about them, create a commercial offer and send for cold email, cold phone, and different visited different activities, for example, about rehabilitologist program. And now in one of this program, we find a few our new customers, and now we chat with military of Ukraine about cooperation for rehabilitologists for military sphere.
Basically,
and, visited not profit, but visit different activities in where you can find your client potential, which you understand that he is or she is visited these activities.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for sharing this, because this is, you mentioned 2 different types of things, and also I think you kind of like covered prospects and leads, because you mentioned that in the B2B space, you also need to identify certain companies who could be potentially clients for you, right? But that kind of companies might not necessarily have heard about you or your product or service or your company yet. So this is what we call prospects. Okay, so companies or individuals that you initially identify as ideal customers for your business, but they might not have necessarily heard about you. And what you're going to do here is you are leading this activity, so sales prospecting activity by the sales team. And what you're doing is like catching the butterflies. So you want to see that, oh, I want to catch that specific butterfly. and you go and try to chase them and catch them. Okay, so this is what we call sales prospecting. While lead generation, and you also mentioned this, like doing some things on social media. So for example, because it's led by the marketing department, so the lead is an individual or business who has already shown interest in your products or services. So for example, they have clicked on your link, visited your website, subscribed for a free trial, downloaded your application. So they have already showed some sort of interest in potentially buying your service or product that you are offering. And basically lead generation is something like we put a lead magnet somewhere, like a free downloadable material, for example, video, anything, for example, on social media. And these kind of individuals or businesses click on it, they visit your website, etc., etc. So these are like two different types of activities, but just wanted to make sure that we understand these two terms, because in today's session, I'm not going to cover lead generation because it's more like a marketing activity. Of course, they have the same goals with sales prospecting and also some similar activities, but today I'm specifically going to cover sales prospecting, which is one of the big things in B2B sales, because we need to really identify, since we are focusing on the niche market, we need to identify specific businesses, business types, and we want to reach out to them to let them know about our business. Okay, so this is what we are going to do today. But having said that, and yeah, just a quick definition also. So how we can like define sales prospecting in an easy way? It's basically a set of actions aimed at initiating new business opportunities by identifying potential customers and nurturing them. So we reach out to them and start nurturing them. And basically it's the very first part of the whole sales process, which is followed by qualification, the discovery calls, objection handling, closing the deal, etc., etc. Okay, so this is how we can define sales prospecting specifically. But at the same time, and it's very important to highlight, sales prospecting is not easy. So it's pretty challenging, not gonna lie. And also according to HubSpot has put together like some statistics and also some report about this, that most salespeople find sales prospecting as the most challenging part of the whole sales process. This followed by closing and qualification. And what do you think personally, or just, you can also guess it if you want, what makes sales prospecting so challenging for companies? What are your thoughts about this?
Because I think that maybe for startup is the most important, because when you create the new product, you think about hypothesis. You don't know really how this product will be useful and sell on market. And you can think about one direct. For example, in our platform, we are focused for Achilles. And some rehabilitologists tell, oh, why you focus for that? Because your platform can help after insult. And we think that, oh, it's a new direct. And it's one simple example, but sometimes we can use, we can not clarify our prospect in the right way. Yeah, we make a hypothesis, a different hypothesis, and we test it, and because of that I think that the percent is so less.
Yeah, exactly. So there are many challenges with qualification, many challenges how to find them, right? What else do you think could be relevant here? It could be a challenge. Also personal experiences. What do you guys think?
Hi, I would also share my personal experience would be when it comes to those first answers. So like we build up our ideal customers profile, for example, and then we are looking for them. So when we look for them, we are Google, LinkedIn, on conferences, fairs, however. And so after that, we gather, like we map the organization, we get their contacts with Apollo, with Hunter, with, I don't know, some other like this prospecting tools.
So it's like you mentioned that you're building a list, you put everything together in a prospecting tool, etc. Takes time, right? And also maybe you didn't mention that, but on one hand, so these are like some of my notes on this, why it's challenging. But as you mentioned, so it takes time, right? So it's, can you actually allocate time for that? That building a list consistently, and even if you have really, really bad conversion rates, because it can be really demotivating, right? Can you just go forward and do it? Or can you find a salesperson who is motivated in doing that? Building a list that actually includes potential customers and reaching out to them and increasing the conversion rates. So it could be really, really challenging in that sense. Also, the pool targeting. I'm pretty sure that you also had the kind of like the experience reaching out to certain types of organizations, certain people who have actually nothing to do, had nothing to do with your products or services, right? Maybe you met gatekeepers. Maybe you shot at two junior people in the organization. So this is the cause of the root targets, the poor targeting. Also the insufficient outreach, and many people give up actually too early. So many people just send out one cold email or one message to a prospect, and then they stop. More than 70% of people do that. Even though like you have to actually send follow-up emails in order to increase the conversion rates of having your emails opened, having the links clicked, and also to get some feedback from your prospects. And last but not least, the lack of research and customization, huge problem. I'm pretty sure that, have you guys had the chance, or I don't know, the experience of receiving emails and you had nothing to do with the email? Everybody was just asking your time, but they were like offering services that you had just nothing to do with. It's because of the lack of research and also the customization, how much you want to personalize your emails or how much you want to automate it. So it's always a question mark that how you can do it in an optimized and effective way. But don't worry, because in this session, I'm going to show you some practical ways on how we can target specifically these challenges and how you can increase the conversion rates and how you can have your emails opened and how you can get also responses from these prospects. So the question is that how we can succeed in sales prospecting. And for this specific purpose, I'm going to show you like 5 different steps on what you need to make sure and fine tune in order to receive high conversion rates and also to receive feedback from the market and eventually to sell your product. So we're going to go through 5 steps, from identifying the right clients, finding the ideal point of contacts, getting the email addresses, writing effective cold emails, and also following up your cold emails. Okay, so these are the 5 steps that we are going to go through. First of all, let's get started with how you can identify the right clients and basically define the right company who you want to reach out to. And here comes my number 1 advice. So I assume that most of you guys already have some clients, right? At least not necessarily so many, but at least you have some clients. And here comes my advice. If you already have some clients that you are working together with, the first thing you have to do is make them super happy and then turn them to be part of your sales force. This is very important because actually these guys want you to survive and these guys actually want to help you out. So they want to, you can ask for testimonials from them. Actually, more than 90% of your clients, if they're happy, of course, they're happy to give you testimonials that you can share on your website, in your sales emails, in the sales brochure, and everywhere else. They would also be happy to refer you to other companies and also provide you with case studies that you did together so you can use them as a sales and marketing material. You can put them on your website and everywhere else. Also, in case you work together with international companies, my advice is that try to think that whereas this international company has operations, and you can actually cross-sell the exact same service to another operation that has a different P&L, you know, like their own activities. Why is it so important? Like my personal example, I used to work at an international startup expert and corporate innovation partner called Headquarters, and we used to work together with Visa in Turkey. And actually, since we work together with this company, we made the innovation managers happy. And if they are happy, they will be actually happy to introduce you to their colleagues in other operations in other countries. So it's basically more money for you, since you can start collaborating with these other operations, but these are like different business entities within the same company. So you can still have a big brand, big name under your client portfolio, but you can work with different entities, different operations internationally. But of course, what I also suggest you to do is to define the ideal client and define the ideal company. Try to think about the company size, for example. Are you targeting large corporates? Are you targeting SMEs, startups? So what exactly is the size of the company that you can imagine as an ideal customer, whose problem you are solving actually? Also try to identify the industries, the sector that you are in, the annual revenue of these companies, the employee count, etc., etc. So as many features, as many characteristics as possible. And you can also consider the behavioral patterns and preferences of these companies. These can be impacted by regional and cultural differences. Maybe they could be price sensitive, for example, compared to companies in other countries. So try to also take these things into consideration. My other recommendation is related to the band qualification tool. Who can tell me that what is band? The band qualification is sales. Have you guys heard about that? Anyone heard about the band or not yet? Don't worry.
I have never
Yes,
heard about.
I hear you, Alexandra. Yes?
No, I have never heard about.
You've never heard
that.
about that. Okay, so this is a tool that I highly recommend you to use in sales. So the band qualification tool is basically a framework. B stands for budget, A stands for authority, N stands for need, and T stands for time. And you can use it basically in different stages of the whole sales process. And basically the idea is that if this prospect has the budget for your service, so they can pay for what you're offering, you are talking to the right decision maker. They actually have a need, and it's also timely for them to implement the solution that you're offering. Then this kind of company will most probably purchase from you, unless you are not able to build rapport and credibility, and your competitors have a better offering. Okay, so you really need to check the band qualification and how you can use it in sales prospecting in this specific stage. I'm personally following different influencers and decision makers at companies who are my prospects, and let's say on LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. Because these guys, in many times, they share updates about the industry and about the company. So what's happening, what are the company's goals, what are they planning to implement, etc. So you immediately see that. So this decision maker, who is the authority, has actual need for specific solutions, and it's also timely for them, which means that most probably they also have budget for them. So you can just knock the door at the right time by just simply following these people and getting some updates of what they are sharing. And for this specific purpose, I only also check news. I follow company pages on LinkedIn, for example, or even Facebook, different social media platforms. So this is how I can gather some information that are related to band qualification. And last but not least, try also to check your network. So once you identify these companies, try to check your network and see that maybe a former colleague, classmate, whoever, like maybe you met someone in a conference that are already working at your prospect companies. So you already have like a person who you can potentially collaborate with. Okay, so these are some things that you can take into consideration. And what about the platforms that I suggest you to use? And also, what are the important things in B2B sales? First of all, if you haven't changed for the LinkedIn creator mode, I highly recommend you to do that. And I'm telling you the reason why. In B2B sales, just imagine, like, what is really, really important is, on one hand, to build rapport with your target audience, with the companies, and also to build credibility. And in many cases, of course, we also want to reach out to this audience through email, but also in many cases through LinkedIn. And you need to design a really good LinkedIn profile to show professionalism. And with the creator mode, you basically can become a thought leader, and you can change so people can automatically follow you instead of connecting with you. You can also display topics with hashtags, with key topics that you are discussing. For example, funding, in my case, innovation, business growth, culture intelligence, and international expansion, which means that I normally like curating content about these topics. By curating content, you can actually also start thinking about like writing articles, for example, doing videos, whatever. ChatGPT can help a lot nowadays with these kind of contents. But if you don't have time for that, you can still reshare someone else's contents in these topics that you are covering. So the idea is that when a potential client visits your LinkedIn profile, it really represents the credibility around your person. Because especially when you have a startup, and especially in the early stages, you are actually the product. You are actually the one who are like selling the company. And because you are representing the company, you really have to be credible and to showcase your expertise and skills. And one other way to do that is I really like this featured stuff of LinkedIn creator mode. So you can put the key activities on top of your profile. For example, whenever I talk at a conference or I share an interesting article, or we have some, I don't know, like photos presenting or something like that, I like showcasing them on top of the profile. So people can like, visit my profile and immediately see that what I'm doing in the ecosystem. So the idea is that become a thought leader in your specific industry, because this is what builds really much like credibility among your potential customers. With regard to the tools I'm specifically using, because you might also ask the question that, okay, how can we start like scouting for these companies that could be prospects for us? Well, in case you guys are like shooting at large corporates, let's say Fortune 500, Global 500 companies, feel free to use the Fortune list. This is a free platform so you can basically get all these companies. And let's say I filter for financials, for example, and these are the financial companies. You can see immediately the profits, revenues, employee count. So the better you designed the characteristics of your target audience, the more you can filter for these companies and add them to your Excel list, for example. Another list I'm using is Crunchbase. I'm really hoping that you guys are on Crunchbase, that everybody is there, because this is used by many, many, many people in the ecosystem, including startup scouters, investors, accelerators, and even like service providers. So many companies in the ecosystem. So be there if you are not. But at the same time, you can also use it for prospecting. I'm specifically use Crunchbase when it comes to dealing with startups and finding startups here. But depending on your target audience, you might also be able to find some relevant companies here. So for example, there's a search bar here, headquarters location, let's say I put UK, industry, quantum computing, and I also set number of employees, 11 to 50, and I immediately found 4 companies that could potentially be relevant for me, so I can just add them to my list. Another platform I'm using is dealroom.co. This is a platform that has really a lot of features and really everything to find like thousands of companies, but they have just changed their business model. So it's no longer a free platform, unfortunately. But at the same time, depending on your budget, I recommend you to consider a platform. Let's say if I filter for Poland, you can see that there are more than 3,000 startups, almost 200 investors, VCs, and almost 1,000 corporates. So you can basically filter for them based on your criteria. And these are the almost 400 startups available in Poland. So I can just filter for also the industry, also the total funding amount, or anything else that I need basically to define the best fit startups or the best fit companies. And last but not least, another cool platform that I want to recommend to you to use is Apollo.io. I don't know, to be honest, how these guys survive or how they're making money, because they have a freemium tool and you can have access to this freemium tool for free, of course. And basically, if you go to search, you click to companies, and basically you can find almost every company and also individuals working at these companies. And you can just filter for, let's say, account HQ location, Poland, industry and keywords, investment management. And here we go. I've already found more than 500 companies, including Wolf Summit on top. So in case you guys are selling something in this space, you can find a lot of companies here. So I have a question to you, because that was the end of the first stage, that before you build a list of cold prospects, considering that you already have some clients, what is advisable to do? What do you think about that? So which of these answers are correct?
Before building a list of cold prospecting, what we do, share the experience, yeah?
Sorry, could you please repeat it?
I ask that you ask about sharing the experience, what we are doing before building a list of cold prospects.
No. It just to double check that you understood everything in this specific stage of sales prospecting. What do you think that what is the best option that you could choose, that you would do based on your understanding of this first stage, this first section?
For me, it's a new tools about Apollo. I have never heard about it, and it is interesting whole information because I don't use Crunchbase, for example, as like a base for potential clients, yeah, prospecting. I before use it as like finding the investors. And it is a great information because now I understand that I can really find an interesting clients there and understanding more of their company.
Mm-hmm. But you have some clients, right?
Yeah, we have.
So what is the first thing, if you remember what I told you guys in the very beginning, that if you already have some clients, what is the first step and first stage, and also what is the answer here? What is the best answer that you can do if you already have like some clients?
If we have some clients, we can ask them to recommend someone or share the in social media information about it, and find the person who are really who really need us. Because, for example, we find a 200 company who need our products, but whole information on their website only about call center, yeah, not information, nothing about office manager and etc. And when we send their cold letter, we didn't get any answer. But when we find one personally CEO in one company and we agree with them, after that he recommend me another company in another region and give me the contact and call him and tell that Alexandra come to you. And after that we decided with this client, and it is a really the one way. It's a really cool because customer help me to get a new customer, but the another way, it's pretty then I couldn't find this information for another clients because 200 clients and 0 answer.
Yes, yeah. So basically, what you can just do to keep in mind and remember that if you have some clients, turn them to be part of your sales force, okay, and ask for testimonials, case studies, any kind of references, add them to your website, brochure, whatever, okay. And plus, try to also cross-sell your products and services to other operations in other countries, for example, in case these are international clients. So both A and B are what I recommend you to do when it comes to, before you build any cold lists. So rather focus on your existing customers and clients. Any questions related to this stage? No questions. Okay, so let's continue then. So let's imagine that we already have a list of companies that could potentially be customers for us. But here comes actually the difficulty, because now we have to find a decision maker within the company. And this is actually, not gonna lie, this is maybe the most difficult thing and This is what many companies do wrong and start spamming the whole industry, and they could also be like get in trouble with regard to GDPR as well. So what the first thing, since the lack of basically the main cause of unproductive sales prospecting is the lack of understanding of who you are reaching out to, what I recommend you to do here is to create user persona types. So try to understand your buyer, okay, as much as possible. If you guys still don't have user persona types, I would rather say that stop doing any outreach to new prospects. So try to sit down just for like 1 hour, 2 hours, and try to design these user persona types. You might have actually many within the company. What do I mean by user persona types? So within companies, you might like focusing on specific positions whose problems you are solving, right? And you can just try to think about the demographic details of these guys. Like what is the generation, younger generation, older generation, where do they live? So just some basic things, right? But what is more important is that these guys in their positions, they have goals, targets, objectives, right? And also at the same time, they also have frustrations, pain points. But the thing is that if these guys can reach these goals, their targets, annual targets, monthly targets, quarterly targets, they actually bring bonus home, and they can also get a salary raise, they can get promoted. So you can also have a personal impact, an impact on the person's personal life and also on the professional life, right? Because you can get them to make more money, and also you can help us the business to be more successful. So the idea is that you should focus always on the problem, and you shouldn't really be a vitamin to people, but you should be a painkiller. And if you are a vitamin, try to think that how you can become a painkiller. I've been working with companies for quite some time now, and what I've noticed is that most companies still don't know what problem they are solving, and then they don't know whose problem they are solving. So try to solve problems and try to think that what is the negative consequence of the problem that these guys, your target audience, are not solving. Of course, loss of money, decrease of the number of customers, etc., etc. This is the negative consequence. But with your solution, you can help them to be more successful, right? To have these companies to make more money, or cut costs, or automate certain processes, etc. So try to really think about how you can solve problems instead of just being a vitamin for these people. And of course, you can also think about the preferred channels. Can you actually reach out to them through email or LinkedIn, or what are the platforms that they actually like to be reached out? And also try to reach out for managerial level point of contacts. Try to not to reach out to junior people or even gatekeepers. Okay, so these things are really important to find the right person who will actually respond to your message and who can actually make decision about implementing your specific solution. Here's an example of a retail tech startup. For example, like let's imagine we are a retail tech startup targeting big retailers. And in this specific case, we can think about a country manager and a chief digital marketing who could be the best target audience and point of contacts within these companies. Why? Because the country manager, these guys are in charge of the store's performance, and they actually have a direct impact on revenues and KPIs. So you can actually help these guys really to become really successful and to drive the business, right? If you have a related solution. While the chief digital marketing, they want to increase online conversion rates, and they actually have a better understanding of the related retail tech solutions than the country manager. So maybe these two guys are the best ones to address. With regard to chief conversion officer, CTO or CIO, innovation department depends, because the innovation, they are not they're not in the real business in that sense. They are not driving revenue or something like that, or dealing with the clients or something like that, selling stuff. So that's why you are actually solving the problems of these guys. So you should be focusing on the country manager and the chief digital marketing specifically, also depending on the solution, of course. And how you can basically find the decision makers of companies. So first of all, LinkedIn Sales Navigator I know that it's like around $80-90 or something like that. If you guys have some budget or raise funding or something, you can maybe consider subscribing for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, because I believe it's a cool platform, and you can very easily find, like, let's say, filter for country UK, company Apple. I also filter for head of digital marketing, and we immediately found 7 results, including Richard Hollidge, who is the head of digital marketing, Apple Online Store, EMEA at Apple. So in case you're a retail tech startup, obviously it sounds like a really interesting fit for our service specifically. In case you guys have limited resources, limited budget, or you just simply don't want to, like, pay for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can also consider using LinkedIn, the freemium version of LinkedIn, and implementing Boolean search. I don't know, guys, if you've heard about this, but Boolean search can basically help you to define, broaden, or limit your searches by using different keywords such as and, or, not, etc. So you can play with the words. Let's say that, you know what, let's find the CEO of Wolf Summit. Okay, let's imagine that we don't know who is the CEO of Wolf Summit, and we want to sell something to this guy. So basically, I'm going to find the CEO of Wolf Summit. In quotation mark, you go to the search bar. In quotation mark, you put the name of the company, Wolf Summit. The quotation mark means that it will handle the 2 words together. Okay, and you put the word and with the big capitals, the capital letters, so it will broaden the search. And again in brackets, you put CEO, or, so we limit the search, Chief Executive Officer. And you also filter for Poland as a country. And what we're going to get is 5 different results. But what I'm going to do is that I also filter for the company here, current company, Wolf Summit. And what you can see here is that I found 2 people here, Michael and Tamas. And basically, if I click on Michael's profile, you can also see it here, that Michael is the Chief Executive Officer of Wolf Summit since 2019. So if you identified him as a potential customer, here we go. So we could find him very easily. But what other ways do we have besides LinkedIn? Well, you should go back to Apollo, because again, Apollo has a freemium tool, as a freemium version. And let's imagine that I want to find companies in the investment management space in Poland. So I click on search companies, Poland, investment management, and Wolf Summit is here. If I click on Wolf Summit, this is the profile of the company. And this is the exciting thing that could be very interesting for you. Employees, number of employees, 20. And if you click on find leads, here comes the wonder, because here are the guys working for Wolf Summit, including the head of marketing, VP of sales, event manager, finance department specialist, head of startups, etc., etc., etc. So many people. So depending on how you define your user persona type and what is the right position that you want to reach out to, you can very easily, like, fill your list. That if you're targeting the head of marketing, you can reach out to Monica, for example. But there's also another way on Apollo how you can find basically anyone. So instead of clicking on searching companies, you can search and you click for people. And you just put job title, CEO, company, Wolf Summit, location, Poland. So you identify the user persona type. And basically, we immediately found Michael, who is CEO of Wolf Summit. Perfect. So here we go. We already found him. So we can add him to the list. So this is the next question that I have to you. So we found the companies and the decision makers. And what do you guys think that what is the number 1 step in this stage in order to find the ideal point of contacts? We want to find the mutual connections for warm introductions. We want to create user persona types, or we want to use Apollo or any platforms to build a list of prospects. What do you think about that? What could be the best answer to do to implement the first step?
B.
B, creating user persona types. Yes, and why? Why the user persona types?
The faster it will be A.
Yeah, but the thing is that you don't know who you want to have introduction to, right? That's why we need to create user persona types.
Of course, if the first step understanding who we need, of
Yeah.
course.
You define the company and then you define the point of contact, but always create user persona types. Really, I would really recommend you that if you're already running campaigns and you don't have persona types, stop the campaigns. I don't want you guys to be in trouble, like with regard to GDPR or anything else. Okay, try to really to think about the user persona types for who it could be relevant and useful what you're offering, and then reach out to them. And you can find many different ways that I'm going to show you how you can reach out to them, including warm introductions, of course. What are the questions that you have with regard to this stage, how we find the right decision makers? No questions? Everything is clear?
Do you know such a tool or method for identifying user persona types?
Yes. So, I mean, you can just very easily use Google, you just put user persona types and you will find many different tools. It's basically what you need to get is something like this, that I showed you on the first slide, something like this. So on the left side of the slide. The idea is that really try to emphasize with that person, okay, that how is that person, you can even design a biography if you want, preferred channels, and this is the most exciting things that we need with regard to sales and also with regard to your business, because you want to solve problems as a business. It's also in your pitch deck, and this is also how you're going to make money, to solve problems. Okay, so try to think about that. How many people might have the problems within an organization? Who are those people? With what positions, etc., and seniorities, etc., whose problems you are actually solving or you can solve. And as you can see, there could be actually different user persona types: retail tech, country manager, chief digital marketing. But as you can see, they have different goals and different frustrations as well, of course. And how you can communicate to them, because as I mentioned here, the chief digital marketing has a better understanding of these solutions, while the country manager, they might not understand what you're talking about, if you're a retail tech startup. So how you communicate with these people, what are the keywords that you are using? Okay, you have to have different batches, campaigns, specifically to these audiences.
Okay, thanks.
But just use Google. I really nothing special. You just put user persona types, and you have many templates that can help you to create one.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Really, there's no bad questions, wrong questions. I'm really here to help.
How many such POCs we should find? I don't want to exaggerate with my search, right? So if I will have too many, then it will be later on too difficult, or I guess.
Yeah, there is no, specific or exact number at how many you should have. I think it's good to think about, first of all, as many as possible and to define them, and then see that who could be the top 3 or the top 5 that you want to focus on, that are actually in a position. Because, again, I need to go back to the retail tech stuff, where we had 5 different user persona types, right? So you can actually help each of these individuals, right? But the thing is that eventually we just want to focus on these 2. Of course, if we don't find these 2 people, I might also reach out to the innovation department, but they are not really in the real business, in a sense that they are not in contact with the customers. They are not direct impact on they have no impact on the revenues, at least direct impact, right? Or the CTO or the chief conversion officer. It really depends. So it's okay to define as many as possible, but really keep it focused and focus on the best ones, where you are really solving a problem. And this is how you're going to find the best ones. Because are you actually solving a business problem for the innovation department? Yes. But it's nice to have for them. It's good that they find you. But if you can really solve the country manager's problem, that's the best, right?
True. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, let me know. Just feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. I can also maybe send you some other materials if you want. on this topic. But don't worry, just feel free to identify as many as possible, and then focus that who has the biggest problem and who has the biggest impact on the business. Okay, and it will be easier to sell specifically to them who has really the pain points and face the negative consequences of not addressing those pain points. As a next step, what we had so far, finding the companies and the decision makers. So as a next step, we want to find the email addresses of these people. Many companies just reach out to email the info@domainname.com, the general email address. This is something I don't really recommend you to do, especially if you are targeting large corporates. You have no chance that you get any feedback. We want to increase the conversion rates and fill the pipeline. Okay, so that's why try to find the email addresses of these specific people that you listed, the decision makers. And how we can do that, here I've listed 4 different platforms I'm personally using to find and identify the email addresses of the people. I'm going to share the slides with you, so you can also have access to these platforms: Apollo, Hunter, Overloop, and emailchecker.net. So I'm going to show you one by one how you can use these platforms. So you guys still remember Michael, right? The CEO of Wolf Summit. So if I click on his profile on Apollo, I click on access email address, and I immediately found mike@wolfsummit.com. And here you can see that the email is verified because it's green. So Mike will receive basically my email. And you can also actually download the Chrome extension of Apollo and activate it on LinkedIn. So if I go to Michael's profile on LinkedIn, and of course I activate the Chrome extension of Apollo, I immediately see that his email address is mike@wolfsummit.com, and it's again green, verified. He will receive my email. So it's so easy to find with any email addresses with Apollo. And the idea is that actually Apollo just changed the model, and you can have unlimited access to emails. I mean, you can have access to unlimited emails in a free version. I don't know why, to be honest, but I mean, you are a startup, it's just a good resource to use in a cost-efficient way, basically. Another thing, and another platform I'm using is hunter.io. And here, basically, if you're not sure about the email address, but you know the domain, let's say of a big company, the platform can help you to analyze different email addresses, like let's say apple.com, and it analyzed more than 3,000 email addresses and found that the most common pattern is the first initial of the first name, last name @apple.com. So if you still remember Richard, for example, the head of digital marketing, we can kind of like guess that what can be the email address of that specific person. And after that, you can actually check it here. There's an emailchecker.net, free platform that you can access on Google. And let's say I just put Mike's email address here, mike@wolfsummit.com. I click on check, and the result is okay. So the email address is valid. Okay, so this is how you can basically make sure that the email address exists. And you can also have like different variations to tests. I'm pretty sure that most of you guys have this email address, the first name @companyname.com. In most probably startups normally have this one. And then once they start really growing, and then they start considering that, like onboarding more people, they start considering like first name dot last name, or the first initial of the first name, the last name, something like that. So you can start like, considering these kind of email addresses, putting it here and see what works and what doesn't work. So you can find basically almost everyone's email addresses. So there's also an alternate tool I'm using with one of my clients. It's called Overloop. Unfortunately, they only have a premium model, even though I like the platform really much because of the user interface and how the platform works. They also have a Chrome extension that you can download for free and basically activate. And as you can see, if I go to Michael's profile, again, I put, so the platform basically analyzes Michael's first name, last name, and the organization domain. And I clicked on access email, and honestly, it didn't find anything. And what do you think? What was the problem? I don't know if you still remember Michael's email, but what do you think that what was the problem and why the program couldn't find or couldn't verify Mike's email? Do you have any ideas?
different name.
Different name, right?
Because there was Mike.
Mm-hmm.
There another transcription.
Exactly. So I just changed manually the first name for Mike, and I immediately got mike@wolfsummit.com, and the confidence score is 100%. Perfect. This is something that happens to me many times, that the person changes the first name or something. It happens with, let's say, Elizabeth, Liz, Michael, Mike. You also know Gergő, Greg, or James, Jim. You know, try to think about that. Maybe the person changes using the shortened version of the name, a nickname or something like that. Okay, so you can just change it. And another thing about the domain, I found many times that, especially in the case of startups, that after the startup got acquired, the domain name changed. So changed for the company who acquired the startup. So sometimes you also have to change the domain name. So you have to think about many things in order to find the right email address. Okay, so these are like some recommendations that you can do. And this is how Mike's profile will look on Overloop. So you can see that I created this contact form extension. And why I like using Overloop really much is that once you imported the contacts from LinkedIn or from your Excel sheet, etc., the program can do bulk search of the email addresses. So again, the idea is that how we can optimize the whole sales process, which takes so much time. And instead of finding the email addresses one by one, you can just basically highlight these people and do a bulk search with the program. You go ahead and have a coffee or something, and in 2 minutes you have all the email addresses verified. Normally, in my case, I get 60–70% of the emails verified by Overloop, and I also get them automatically. And the remaining 30–40%, I do it manually, but still you can save a lot of time with that. And here's also another way how you can save a lot of time with list building, finding the point of contacts, finding the email addresses. Basically, here is my tip that how you can build a list of hundreds of prospects, of verified emails, LinkedIn emails, LinkedIn profiles, phone numbers, websites, and everything else, and anything else within a few minutes, no more than 5 minutes. But in order to do this, this is a hack, but in order to do this, you really have to identify user persona types as much as possible. So in our case, iScale Hub, on innovation angle, we identified innovation managers as our key target audience. And let's say I want to find innovation managers as senior people as possible, of course. So title, innovation, I meant Apollo, I'm using the Apollo platform. Management level, the senior guys, location UK, and industry higher education. And here we go. I already found 300 contacts, which is pretty cool. Head of innovation, director of innovation, different universities. And what I'm going to do here now, I highlight these contacts and I click on export. And what's going to happen now is I'm going to get an export as a CSV, in a CSV format. And I click on export verified emails only. So not all emails. I only want contacts that have a verified email, so I can reach out to them actually, and then I confirm. So I'm going to get a CSV file.
In Apollo, yeah, you use Apollo for that.
Yes, this is specifically on Apollo. So this is on Apollo, and you can do this export on Apollo. And what I'm going to do, so I got a CSV file, and on Google you just put CSV to Excel converter. So you convert it to Excel, you download it, and then you upload it to your Drive or whatever. So you can create an Excel list, a sheet, and just add the most relevant information of your target audience. In all cases, first name, last name, country, position, organization, email address. These are all verified email addresses. The LinkedIn profile of the person. So I can even like run a LinkedIn campaign, a LinkedIn outreach campaign. You can even add the phone numbers, the websites, whatever. It's because you have a full list of all the details and all the information. And you can do this within a few minutes, unless you don't understand your user persona. Okay, you really need to understand the user persona types in order to do this and to be really efficient. And there's also just a few notes on ChatGPT. I'm also using ChatGPT for sales, and it can help us. So when we started the engineering branch at iScale Group, we really wanted to understand that, let's say, who are the best people to approach at aerospace companies and promoting engineering solutions. So it can also help you define the user persona types, including what could be their problems and pain points. So you can count on ChatGPT regarding this topic. And also, what are the biggest pain points engineering solutions are addressing? So you can immediately find out the pain points that you can address and how, in what product you can address them. Okay, so you can play with it. And also, I tried to test ChatGPT for list building, and I had more or less, I would say, like mixed experience, to be honest. And also, especially since we have these upgrades on ChatGPT, it's getting more and more limitations and restrictions, to be honest, with regard to sales prospecting. But anyways, and also it has limited knowledge until 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, I asked the question that, can you create a list of 100 relevant prospects in innovation management working at UK universities? And I got some professors. Or can you create a table and a list of relevant deep tech startups, for example, in Spain, with the C-level professionals? Yes, I got the list. But you don't need to double check it, to be honest, because honestly, I've tried it many times, and just many times ChatGPT bullshitting, like making up things. So that's why I am just showing this to you, but always check it, okay? Because ChatGPT can fasten up the process, but still not a reliable source. So consider ChatGPT as your internal an assistant or someone who could also still making mistakes, but could fasten up your work. Okay. And here is a question, and I'm pretty sure that you can answer this question very easily because we covered all these topics. So what happens that the email address of the prospect you found is not verified? What will you do next? What do you think that what could be the best answer for this question?
Everything, really, so many. Everything. I screen because really, when you start up, you don't have a lot of employees, and you cannot use marketing, you cannot use sales manager because you're really in one person. And when you in this routine, it's quite difficult to do in the right way everything. And you give a great, really highlights. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely agree. Everything, do everything. Change the first name of the prospect. Remember, Mike, Michael. Try to take this into consideration. Change the domain name. Remember, what if the company is acquired by someone else, right? The domain name will change. Or change the email address format. First name dot last name, first initial of the first name, whatever, right? So try to take all these things into consideration and use different tools to check what could be the verified email address. Any questions so far regarding email addresses or anything that we've discussed so far? No questions? Everything is clear? Everything is clear. Okay, sounds good. So now
I will wait a second. Just a comment. Yes. I was waiting for the microphone here to finish the speaking. So okay. Sorry. And just a comment, not a question about ChatGPT. Yes. I'm using it as like you as well. Like give me a list of people. Oh shit! It starts. But yes, definitely double check because it really makes mistakes there. Really. I'm doing that. I'm doing that with researchers, but recently also in different areas, and it's like must to be double checked.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why. Thank you, Noemi, for sharing this. You have to be the expert, not ChatGPT. Still, AI is not on that level that can outplace humans in that specific task, at least. So you still have to be an expert in sales and sales prospecting, and make sure that ChatGPT can support you in an efficient way. Okay. Also with statistics, I try to use ChatGPT to find some statistics to get some hooks. Don't use ChatGPT to find statistics because It's just making up things sometimes. So rather just find relevant sources when you do an investment pitch or a sales pitch and you want to use statistics for hooks. Rather look for reliable sources, because ChatGPT can just make up things sometimes. But at the same time, as I show it to you, it can also help you with the user persona types, addressing the pain points, what could be the pain points, what could be the keywords, and many other things that I'm going to show you a bit later in this presentation. But thanks for sharing this, Noemi. Thank you. Okay. So then let's continue. And this is something that I believe that you will like, okay, we're waiting for it. Let's see the cold emails, like how we can write the cold emails. But you really need to understand that it's before you write any emails. I'm really hoping that now you understand that why is it so important to make sure that we have the right companies listed, the right decision makers, and the right email addresses. Because if you guys like skip these processes, skip these first steps, your emails will most probably land in the spam folder, or you are like reaching out to people with irrelevant content, and you can also have issues with GDPR. Okay, so it's very important to have a good understanding of who you are reaching out to, and then design the cold emails accordingly. And also, when it comes to designing a cold email, really, really important to have a good understanding of what is exactly B2B sales about and how it differs from B2C. And just a few points here is that B2C is mainly focused on a large scale market where you can experience like short selling cycles, right? That maybe, I don't know, there's an application, I'm going to download this application, and yeah, I just subscribe for it. Okay. So I'm not really making like rational decisions necessarily, but it's like what you need to do, some marketing campaigns or whatever, and you want to focus on triggering emotions and quick emotions purchase decisions, right? And the main goal is to create impulse and urge to buy. You go to a supermarket, maybe you just want to buy a chocolate, and you leave the supermarket with a chocolate, with a shower gel, I don't know, with many other stuff that you didn't plan to buy, right? And with the B2B, in the B2B space, it's a bit different, because actually you are focusing on a niche market and you have a long selling cycle. Not gonna lie, with large corporates and governments, it can go even like up to 1 year or even more. And as a startup, can you afford it, to make it financially sustainable to wait for like 1 year? That's a big question always, right? And they might also involve more people as decision makers to make rational decisions, because normally they have a budget, and they are not like governments, right, in B2B, that they have to spend the money, but they actually want to spend as less money as possible and expect as much return as possible for it, right? So that's why you really have to make sure that you build relationships with your target audience, you share expertise with them, and the main goal is to build trust and credibility. And I really, really want to highlight this. The thing is, you have to focus on a problem. As I mentioned, design user persona types, understand their goals, and understand their frustrations, the pain points and problems, and keep everything focused on the problem. And basically, you shouldn't sell a product, but you should actually position your product as a solution on that specific problem. So you're basically just facilitating the whole customer buying steps instead of like pushing the sales process itself. And what you also need to do is building rapport and credibility, because this is why they're going to trust you to do an investment for a potential return that they're hoping to get out of that investment. Okay, this is the most important task that we have to do in B2B sales. And this is why we need to keep this in mind and design the cold emails and also the follow-up emails or any outreach emails accordingly, according to this kind of mindset and methodology. So here is a cold email I designed. I think it was a couple of years ago, but I really wanted to show this to you guys, because here I was managing business development activities of the International Startup Accelerator and Corporate Innovation Partner. And I was reaching out to Fortune 500, Global 500 companies, specifically to the innovation managers. And this was a pretty good cold email that had really high conversion rates, also with regard to response rates and scheduled discovery calls. What do you think what made this email successful, and why I get so many feedback from people that they wanted to have a call with me. I just give you some time to read it and let me know what you think and what are your thoughts about this. Any ideas, any comments that you could see? What stood out of this email? What would you change even?
You really, all you offer, not about you, yeah, it's for customer. This offer completely for his benefit. And of course you get a great feedback because you not offer some product or some interest in a few, you offer solution for him.
Exactly. What are the things that you would maybe highlight that that could be attractive for them in this email?
You start with a positive sentence that I'm a huge fan of your work. This is the good beginning of the conversation.
So it's like a positive stuff, more like a personalized outreach, right?
Really to complete, to connect him with some interesting partner, and he understands that it can help him to grow up his business. And really you suggest some instruments, and you after that you tell that you work on the company for Fortune 500. Yeah, you my English is not as I want. You add that you really have a huge experience, and mention the company, the main company in this sphere, yeah, and you highlight your experience in this sphere. Because of that, of course, he wants to cooperate with you, he wants to connect with you, of course.
Yeah. What about this question and the sentence? What am I doing differently than other salespeople?
Maybe you ask some not short answer, that you ask some questions which people cannot answer, maybe yes or no. You you build a dialogue, yeah, and I think so.
So it's a dialogue, yes. Do I ask for the time? Shall we have do we have 20 minutes this or the next week just to have a quick call?
No.
I'm not telling you that you shouldn't do that. It's my approach. So since I presented that you know, like how I approach these topics, I'm really focusing on the problem, trying to focus on the negative consequences, and I don't want to sell anything, but I want to position my product as a solution if they have any problems, of course. And that's why thank you very much for sharing this, because instead of asking for their time, I'm rather asking for their attention. So and I want to learn more, right? That I'm asking a qualification question here. Does it make sense? So do you think we can contribute to your open innovation program? Does it make sense for you? Do you actually have, guys, any challenges here? Let's start a conversation, because maybe if you don't have anything, I'm not the right fit for you. I don't necessarily want to sell anything. I I really want to understand that what you guys have in the organization, any challenges or something, and I can provide you a solution to that specific challenge. And how I want to build further rapport and credibility is that I'm not asking for their time. I don't even know them. They also don't even know me. Why should we even like spend 20 minutes to get to know each other? I'm also busy. They are also busy. First of all, I want to make sure, I want to qualify them. You remember the band qualification. Do they actually have a need, right? Is it timely for them? And that's why I'm asking this question, which is like a qualification question. And then I tell them that I can send you an email showing 2 case studies. So I'm willing to share more that how other companies benefited from our service, from our solutions, right? So this is how I approach this topic. But yeah, with regard to how to start it, oh, I think someone is not muted. Okay, thank you. In the beginning, as you also mentioned, there is kind of like a compliment. But what I suggest you to do, if you see a person speaking at a conference, or if you read an article of the person, or if you see you have a mutual connection, or many things in common, for example, just refer to that one, because that will be kind of like the personalization element or the hook. And after that, the person want to keep reading the next chapters, right? But the person can also lose the interest if this is something which is boring, so it doesn't have anything to do with it, right? And then I clearly state why I'm reaching out and how I personally believe can create value, bring value to the organization. So basically the idea is that I can get further, so I can give value to their products and increase customer engagement by connecting them with external innovation. And there's also a traction item. I mean, remember, we need to build credibility, right? Because they are making rational decisions involving more people, more departments. They have a budget and they want to, you know, like, they're not governments. They don't want to spend all the money they get, but they want to spend limited money and get a high return. So that's why we need to prove that we worth our money that we are asking for, right? And because we believe that we are the ones who can bring them the highest return on investment. And that's why we need to show some social proof references. We work with other Fortune 500 companies. Okay, and then qualification question and sharing more information. Again, this is not a blueprint. If you go to many other sales trainings or workshops, you will see other examples of how to write a cold email. These are my first personal best practices that worked, but it also depends on your specific user persona type and how to approach specifically them. That's why I'm asking you to create the user persona types. And also the A/B testing is also something that you need to do in order to check that what works and what doesn't work. And that's why please don't just apply this email as a blueprint and this will work. No, this is just something that for me specifically work, and just want to give you the mindset of not pushing something, but rather finding a problem and positioning your product as a solution. Okay, this is just the mindset around this email. Here's also another email. I'm also working together with an international consulting company, and basically this is the email that we normally send out. We can attract companies for the EIC Accelerator, is the European Innovation Council Accelerator, and basically they can get grants of up to 2.5 million euro and also equity investment up to 15 million euro. It's actually a pretty good opportunity for deep tech startups, and also you need to showcase, right, that you are credible, that we've raised more than 60 million euro from EU funds, and that's helping many companies with fundraising, go-to-market strategies, etc. And again, I don't want to really to sell anything, because I understand that for many startups it's not relevant at all. So I just want to make sure that actually they find it actually useful, and what they think about the EIC Accelerator, because I can send them more information, like the report. There's an impact report. They can learn how the EIC is backing these companies and how the companies are doing after work, etc. So it's really just facilitating the whole process and helping out companies that need specifically help in this space. So you're not selling anything eventually, but like we are a facilitator and a consultant, basically. You have a question, Noemi. I see that you're raised hand.
Yeah, if you are talking about the EIC Accelerator, Do you also take care of startups after they receive funds?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
all the way, and preparation
yes.
for the interview?
Both, like everything. It's an
Okay.
end-to-end, end-to-end.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, because there's like a 2-year period in the up to 2.5 million euro 2-year period, and yeah, we also do that. So this is an example that how I reach out to these people. Is it selfish? You decide, but the idea is that I try to write these emails that really to focus on the solution, focus on the problem, and to help them to really to increase the success rate of getting the grants from the IC Accelerator. And here is my recommendation, because we mentioned during the challenges, when we discussed the challenges, that, you know, the personalization versus automation. And my recommendation is the following: that do a manual outreach in case there is someone who can make a warm introduction. Let's say if I go to Mike's profile, I see that we have almost 140 mutual connections, and you see Bill, Paul, etc. So if I have a good connection with these guys, I can just ask for a favor to please introduce me to Michael. Just really want to learn more about the activities, the possible challenges they might have in the ecosystem, because we might have a related solution on how we can support the business growth and increase customer engagement or whatever, basically. And with a warm introduction in the B2B space, you have 70% higher conversion rate. So that's why no need for automation, rather go for warm introductions, and then you have a higher success rate of closing the deal, basically. And my other recommendation is try to find things in common. And that's why, again, do manual outreach and don't try to automate things, emails, in case you have many things in common. Sorry for that, it's in Hungarian. Maybe there are some Hungarian startups here who can also understand this LinkedIn connection request. You have 300 characters when you connect with someone. And again, I saw that this person used to work as a global innovation manager at a top 5 FMCG company. That person was Hungarian, so I wrote the message in Hungarian, and I wrote basically that, hey, I've come across your profile on LinkedIn, and I saw that you also live in Barcelona, you also work in the innovation ecosystem. I'd be glad to connect with you. I also work in the same space, I live in Barcelona, and I used to work at the same company as yours, supporting XY manager. And she got back to me a few minutes later that, thanks for your message, what a coincidence. I'm actually in the process of moving to Tel Aviv, but I can offer you a virtual coffee. I'll be happy to hear about your experiences. Okay, and we had this coffee, and guess what? Actually, she introduced me to 4 different operations of this corporate company in Spain, Mexico, South Africa, and the United Arab Emirates. Did I send out an automated cold email? No. I found that we have so many things in common that it just triggers the person to connect. People like connecting with other people in case they have a mutual connection or so many mutual things in common. Same university, same city, same company, same interest, whatever. You just have to show them that you are in the same space. But of course, in case you don't have these mutual connections or mutual things in common, I also recommend you, in order to optimize the sales prospecting stage, to use automation tools. And you have many options here. You have HubSpot, Freshworks, even Apollo, and also Overloop. I'm going to show you an Overloop example. And this is what I'm using with one of my clients. This is, we do this with the international consulting for the IC Accelerator. And this is the sequence that you can see with various cold follow-up emails. And this is basically the cold email that I send out to startup founders. And why is it exciting is that there are variables, so you can change the first name, you can change the organization's name, and you can change, I don't know, the position, whatever. So it can basically help you to send out emails on set times and dates, and also the follow-up emails, because eventually sending out 300 follow-up emails per week manually, it's just something which maybe you don't want to do as a founder, because it would take a lot of time for that. Opa. One second, sorry, just stop, so I just reshare my screen. I hope that you can find it again. What I can also do here, you can set that you want to send out the emails, let's say from Monday to Friday, and you want to send out the email between 9 a.m., 4 p.m., Oslo time, for example, or the recipient's time zone, whatever. So you can even send out emails when you are sleeping because it's going to be sent out automatically. And what's exciting in the automation platforms is basically the backend, so the metrics, because I can track it that, yeah, I reached out to almost 100% of the people. There were some bounced emails, of course, but basically 82% of people opened my messages, which is a pretty high open rate. And then 22% clicked and 22% replied. So maybe I can find out what to do in order to increase this. And I can also check if I click to open, for example, that who were the people, these are here individuals, decision makers, and who and how many times opened my messages, who and how many times clicked on the link in my messages, and who replied to my message. So, for example, I see that this person opened my message 24 times and clicked on the link 3 times. So something is happening here, right? I never do cold calling, but in this case, maybe I would call the person because that person will most probably be aware of what I'm doing. Or maybe I send a LinkedIn connection request to that person. Or maybe I want to send a more specific, more personalized email follow-up, for example. Okay, you can always track this and act accordingly. Thus, you can increase the conversion rate of getting a response from the market. And also some things you can use for fine-tuning your emails and also the whole campaigns, outreach campaign. First of all, try to segment the email list. Don't just reach out, don't just send one unique email to hundreds of people because this is badly marketing, email marketing. On one hand, you will get spammed, flagged as a spam. So your emails will go to the spam folder. And last but not least, consider the user persona types. So if you are sending one unique email to all the user persona types, you are eventually not solving anyone's problems, right? So you really have to be specific and you design the batches as per user persona types based on what they want. I'm not going to get into details on the subject lines, just an important note here that more than 50% or around 55% of emails are purely open based on the subject line. So that's why I highly recommend you to do A/B testing and test the subject lines. What works for me in many cases is this one. I put the first name of the person, my name, and let's say the advantage or basically the outcome or something, the big help, what I can do with them, for example. You can also ask a question, put their name, whatever. So you can test different variations and see what brings the biggest open rate. And also iteration. We can also discuss the follow-up emails, but check that what are the open rates about, the click rates, the response rates, and try to fine-tune these emails to increase these statistics. Okay, so iteration is super, super important. And of course, as I already mentioned, eventually, I want you guys that you are not behaving like selling something, but you want to simply facilitating the buying process. Okay, by really understanding the problems and offering solutions to those problems. And one way to also to showcase yourself as someone who is solving problems really and offering solutions is, I don't know if you noticed, but I never really call myself a salesperson or a business development guy or something like that when I represent companies, but I focus on the outcome, on the value I provide to my clients. Let's say startup success catalyzer or innovation and funding partner, or really like innovation manager, really anything that you can think of. I want to be a partner in your with your business and help you to grow, right? What am I doing? You might be selling eventually, but it's not about selling. No one is really, it's not about really selling. It's about facilitating this whole process. And one final tip regarding this, I've already mentioned GDPR. Unfortunately, it's getting more and more strict. So please be careful with that. With iScale Group, we have a legal arm. If you need any help, let us know because we have a legal specialist. try to focus on that, have maybe a legal consultation with a legal specialist. A few important things: there's an email law here in Europe with opt-out, single opt-in, double opt-in. Take into also this into consideration, and the legitimate interest. Do I have a valid legitimate interest? That's why you need to consider and design user persona types and reach out to the right person with the right message. Otherwise, you could get into troubles, okay? And also always include an unsubscribe link at the end of your emails, or at least right at the end of the email that, hey, in case you're no longer interested in hearing more, please let me know and I erase you from my list. Okay, just do this. I just really want you guys to be protected and don't get into any troubles, because it's unfortunately, or not unfortunately, who knows, it's getting more and more strict. All right. We came to the end of this section as well. And what do you think? I have a question to you. If the overall open rate of your email sequence is above 80% and the click rate is 5%, you will most probably have to refine your what's. Subject line, website content, or email copy, so the email text. What do you think about that?
I think that the mail text.
And why?
Because if I'm not interested in this, I'm not involved this person in my topic, he is not click of link which I want to click on.
So the click rate is 5%, pretty bad, isn't that? So we need to use maybe more call to actions or convince them in the email to click on that link. So this is how we can increase it. Yes, so the email copy. Do you have any questions with regard to cold emailing, how to do automations, this kind of stuff?
I want about GTP or DTR, yeah, this what you talked about previously. If I, for example, send the cold message for some in German company, and they can what they can do if they want don't want to get message from me,
They can just so
avoid?
Yeah, Germany is really a special case because it's really protected. That they have like single opt-in. You actually legally you are not really allowed to send more than one email to that specific person in Germany and also in Switzerland. So you really need to ask them that, hey guys, do you want to receive more messages? Are you interested? And then I can send you more stuff. So
and one message I can send, yeah. If you talk about one
but just, I mean, I'm not a legal specialist, so my recommendation is rather do a consultation with a legal specialist. So I don't want to give you any advice in this because it's my legal topic, but just to be on the safe side, always put an unsubscribe link or put it in your message that I will erase you from my list in case you no longer want to hear from me. Okay, so this is something that you should definitely do. And LinkedIn is a free playground at the moment. LinkedIn is not regulated. So LinkedIn is something where you can send connection requests and like do stuff, and also you can use Dripify or other platforms to automate the outreach. So you can do automations that someone accepts your connection request and you automatically send them more messages there. It's not regulated at all. So this is maybe an option that you can consider, for example. But also with email, my advice, be careful and follow the GDPR compliant. And I would say if you really want to do sales prospecting on a larger scale, reaching out to hundreds of people, rather do like, let's say, a quick legal consultation that everything is fine, you understand everything, etc. Okay, so this is something that I recommend you to do here.
And what do you think about email function in LinkedIn?
Sorry, email.
What do you think about email in LinkedIn? I can send not message, but in mail. Yeah. What do you think about it? For example, if I don't use the standard mail, yeah, and I send information through email, what do you think about it?
You can also do that. No, my recommendation is use multi-channel approach. which means that do not rely only on one platform, but let's say in between 2 follow-up emails, send a connection request on LinkedIn, and also test different platforms. And again, I need to go back to user persona types. What are the channels that they prefer, right? Maybe some prefer LinkedIn, maybe some prefer emails. So this is one thing, of course. And then use different channels, use A/B testing, from which channel you had the highest conversion, and then you can decide and scale that specific channel. So my recommendation is more like this, to A/B testing and user persona types, but you can't really tell that what is the best channel specifically for you unless you test it, right? We can just do assumptions, basically.
Okay, thank you so much.
And last but not least, I see that we still have 15 minutes, and I also want to make sure that some questions and everything, the follow-up emails. And let me just start first with some crazy statistics here. So according to HubSpot, and just keep this in mind, that only 24% of sales emails are opened, 20% of prospects are followed up, and 5 emails sent to prospect gives 1 reply only. Okay, so these are the statistics that we have to handle. So at the end of the day, prospecting is just like a numbers game, but keep it a quality numbers game, okay? And what's also important to take into consideration is that, again, according to statistics, those people who opens your message and gets back to you, they actually do it exactly on the same day when you reach out to them. This means that if you don't hear from them on the same day, you will have really high chance, low chance to hear from them in the future, unless you send them a follow-up email. And that's why we need to send them a follow-up email to make them, remember us, to remind them about who we are and how we can solve their problems. And here are my recommendations that how you can send out follow-up emails. On one hand, try to wait at least 2, 3, rather 3 days, to be honest, with your follow-up email. They are busy, they are sick, they have holidays, I don't know, weekend, whatever. Don't be pushy. In sales, you should never be pushy. Try to wait a bit. Then the study says that Tuesday and Thursday, so the middle of the week, gives the best results, the best conversions when it comes to following up the emails. But you should definitely avoid Monday mornings and the weekends. And the optimal time, according to studies, is between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. by the recipient's time zone. Okay, so these give the best results. And you should also take into consideration the demographic details. So, for example, the younger generation is pretty okay with receiving more emails per week, but the older generation, they might find it a bit pushy. Again, define user persona types. Also, the previous engagement metrics, as we discussed, we can also build up on that regarding the conversion rates, check that when they open the messages, etc. Time zones. If you're addressing South Korean companies or companies in the US, maybe you don't want to send a follow-up email at 10 a.m. your time, but you should send it at 10 a.m. their time. And that's why I use automation platforms, so I don't have to get up at, 2 a.m. my time, for example, to send out a follow-up email. And also the cultural and regional differences. Quick example, United Arab Emirates, Friday and Saturday are weekends, and they work on Sunday. So maybe you shouldn't send out a message on Friday, but you can send a message on Sunday. Okay, some things to take into consideration. What about the frequency of the follow-ups? Well, again, a crazy statistic, 80% of non-routine sales occur only after at least 5 follow-up emails. Imagine, do you guys follow up at least 5 times? Well, it's pretty crazy. So try to follow up the messages and also give the prospects more and more time to reply back to you. This is also a structure. I've tried different structures, but this is something that you can consider. But again, these are statistics and advices, but try to always to test, do A/B testings, and consider your user persona types. So this is a structure for 1 cold email and 5 follow-up emails. So you wait 2 days or 3 days, then 4 days, 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 30 days. But for example, I know that at iScale Group, in the innovation space, we have a user persona, which are basically the embassies. I can't send them 5 follow-up emails, right? So they would be really, really pissed, I guess, if I send them 5 follow-up emails. So that's why try to keep in mind that, yeah, 5 follow-up emails give the best results, but at the same time, take the target audience into consideration. That can you actually send 5 follow-ups to embassies? Not really, right? So it just to keep these things in mind. And what about the content of the follow-up? Here the thing is, and my big advice is that don't just send the follow-up that, hey, I'm just sending the follow-up. I just wanted to inquire if you are interested in our solution, if you want to have a call with me. Nobody really cares, to be honest. What people care about is if you focus on their problem and if you provide them with value in each and every email. And this is what I'm also doing. What you can do is that you can send them useful resources. Let's say white paper, for example, interesting blog article. You can invite them for a webinar, or you can send them the recording of your webinar. You can send them success stories, testimonials. So you should make sure you have the right sales and marketing materials ready for your cold outreach and the follow-up emails. And to show you an example, you guys still remember the EIC accelerator, right? And I worked together with this company. And this is basically the structure I designed for this company. It's basically 1 email, 1 cold email, and 6 follow-up emails. And as you can see, I write a cold email, and it's all about what I've already showed you, the email, and I give them a hint about the EIC impact report. Then in my first follow-up email, I actually send them the EIC impact report. Again, I give them value, and I give them information about the EIC accelerator. And then we also, in the next email, we write more about the qualifying criteria and the application process. So the idea is that we want to educate the audience, right? That are you guys actually eligible for this? How you can apply? They can also apply by themselves, actually. So, but if they need help or if it's a problem for them, we can help them. But we also need to build our credibility, right? We also need send them a free crash course about the EIC accelerator, again, helping them for their preparation. Then we also send them success stories and testimonials in case they want to work together with us. We are credible and we've helped with many other companies. I also have an email about requesting connecting to the right person. Sometimes maybe it could happen that you are just reaching out to the wrong person, or maybe it's a C-level professional, but someone else is taking care of this task within the organization. It could also happen. And I normally end with a breakup email. I'm going to discuss this, but this is basically the last email that I send to a prospect. And this is an email how I basically showcase and present the case studies and testimonials with this company. So these are, like, for example, 2 success stories, how our previous clients managed to attract significant funding from the EIC accelerator. And here's also a testimonial that one of the Swedish startups are saying about us. And then I invite them for a potential call, for example. So this is kind of like the mechanism of how I share these kind of things here. And I also wanted to show you one case, is that the importance of value-added follow-ups and how I was able to basically arrange a call with a manager of a Fortune 500 company in the financial sector. You guys already remember this cold email because this was the first one I showed you, but this is just for the financial sector. So I showed other examples, Visa, BNP Paribas, Cardiff, etc. So I asked the guy, do you think we can contribute to your open innovation programs? I can send you an email showing these case studies. And he got back to me saying that, thanks for reaching out. I look forward to hearing more as you suggested. And here we go. I basically shared all these case studies with him that he could find relevant, because some other companies in the financial space managed to attract many startups with our help. And what he got back to me that, thanks for sharing this, Tamas. I will chat with my team and come back to you next week. And I was like, yeah, perfect. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy to help. Do you think he got back to me the next week? Give you a hint, he didn't get back to me. So I needed to figure out that how I can send a follow-up email and to increase the interest, to increase our credibility, to build rapport. And actually at that time, we were organizing a webinar, a series of webinar. And also we had one webinar about the fintech space. And I sent him an email that, yeah, I wanted to share a recording of our previous like online events with you, which was focused on fintech. And you can see that topics like emerging trends in the fintech industry, women's inclusion in finance, payment innovation, next-gen payment experience. So for this guy, an innovation manager at a top financial company, big corporate, this information is super useful. And as you can see, this was at 1:19, and a few minutes later, at 1:27, he got back to me. Obviously, he couldn't watch the recording or something, but I gave him value, right? And he got back to me, thanks for this content. Yes, it would be good to have an introductory chat. Can we catch up? And he proposed a time and date, and he would also be happy to send me a Zoom invite. So perfect. So we had basically a call, and this is how you can basically fill your pipeline and schedule a call with people. So again, value-added follow-up emails are something that could obviously work. So to share some interesting things about you and actually about them, like what's important for them. That's what you have to think about. And last but not least, the breakup email. So this is something that's being used pretty often nowadays by salespeople, to be honest. But why I still like it is because you show empathy, which is honestly a very big thing in sales. That you tell them that, hey, I've sent you some emails, but I see that it's not relevant for you or not timely for you at the moment. Remember the band qualification. Maybe it's just not necessarily timely for them. And you admit that you're gonna stop. So you don't want to take up any more of their time. You don't want to flood the inbox. And empathy wins in many, many, many cases. Here's an information, feedback from a startup. It's again for the innovation consulting, the IC accelerator. Sorry, quite busy at the moment. It would be best to catch up in the spring after Easter. In the meantime, please let me know your process. So the guy was just busy, right? Budget, I don't know if they have budget for this kind of service. Authority, yes, I was talking to the right decision maker. They actually have a need for EU funding, but it was not timely for them. That's why he didn't reply. After Easter, it was a better time for him to catch up and discuss this further. Okay, so as a in sales, just take bounty into consideration and don't push things. Really, sometimes it's just not timely for them. Just put it in your calendar and you can get back to them at the right time. So don't worry about that. And some final tips for fine-tuning your emails and your follow-up emails. First of all, as I mentioned, test your subject lines. More than 50% of emails are opened based on the subject line. So test A/B testing, etc. Also send nuanced specific information. Design specific sales and marketing materials, case studies that no one can find on the internet. You just specifically send to these individuals. Diversify your touchings, super important. As I mentioned, between two follow-ups, do a LinkedIn outreach, maybe WhatsApp, call them. On LinkedIn, you can do a voice recording. That works really well. Even like a video recording on LinkedIn. You can't automate it. It's very specific to that specific person. You can increase the conversion rate of getting a response. Optimize your text for the mobile phone. Almost 50% of the emails are purely open based on the mobile phone. Don't have like large, a lot of texts. Keep it short, keep it specific. And also keep your call to action highly specific. Instead of asking, what about meeting next week? You should be more specific that, hey, what about scheduling a call? What about having a call at 3 p.m. your time next Wednesday? Happy to send you an invite, or here's also my calendar link. You can also book a call here. Okay, so be specific, because this is what will generate response. And you should always end with a call to action, honestly, with a question or something that can trigger an answer from the prospect. For fine-tunement, you can use ChatGPT. It can also help you with text generation, that how to reach out to, like putting together sales sequences. So ChatGPT can also help you with that. Let's say here's like a quick message, and also fine-tuning messages. Imagine, we are not native speakers, right? But in English, But at the same time, if I want this email to be rewritten in a native English format or in a more informative way, ChatGPT can help me with that. I wanted to fine-tune this breakup email, and I got a more sophisticated email instead. So you can also consider using ChatGPT for these specific purposes. So this is the last question. What do you think that how many emails minimum, including cold emails and follow-up emails, should you send out to a prospect according to statistics that will give a best result?
7.
7? Why 7?
I don't know. That's what you were showing.
7. So 1 cold email and
then all follow-up emails and the
all
end,
follow-up
the end
emails.
breakup email.
Others? 7 or others or something else? Wondering better than 5 emails, trust me. Exactly, Anna, you are right. That's actually true.
100%.
Yes, yes. So according to statistics, 1 cold email and 5 follow-up emails. But again, this is something like statistics, just to keep in mind, awareness raising. Okay, user persona types, check it and A/B testing and see what works. But just to keep this in mind, that these are according to statistics, to see the big picture, that these are the things that work. Okay, so that was today's session. Again, the key takeaway here is that before writing any cold emails, really understand the ideal buyer and their pain points. Focus on the problem, position your product as a solution, and showcase your expertise and build credibility in the cold emails and the follow-up emails, and follow up your emails basically, because this is what would help to increase the conversion rates. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much for really brilliant information. I find a lot new case. Thank you so much. And I will write you about EIC program. It's very interesting and another funding for us.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, here is, you can also add me on LinkedIn. Feel free to add me, Tamas Szeker. This is my LinkedIn. And do you have any questions, any challenges that you see in this space at the moment? Anything you want to discuss?
Do you advise HubSpot as a tool for all of these email automation and yeah, getting statistics and etc.?
Yes. You can also try HubSpot, Freshworks. I'm personally using Freshworks, HubSpot, Overloop, Apollo, all these different platforms. It really depends on your budget, you know, like I don't like if you raise funding, if you have resources available, how much you can allocate for this. I think it's worth it because it's always good to see, you know, the backends, to see the metrics and everything, and just to automate the process, because I understand that you guys want to focus more on the business, you know, like doing the delivery and everything, and just, you know, sales prospecting could be really a pain in the ass, and that's why I try to automate it. And yeah, HubSpot is, for example, a cool platform for that. Exactly. What else? Actually, on HubSpot, what you can do, that let's say you have a sales brochure, and you don't have to attach the sales brochure to the email, but you can upload it on HubSpot and include a link to open the brochure. And actually, HubSpot will track that which page is opened in the brochure and how much time the prospect spends on each page. So you can basically get the idea that, okay, so maybe this page is the most interesting for that prospect, and maybe they might have some questions, so you want to discuss specifically that page. So it's also like a good, you know, background information for you, that what to focus on in your follow-up emails, for example, or anything else.
It's in HubSpot, yeah. We can.
It's in HubSpot. It's in HubSpot. HubSpot actually. Let me think. We actually have perks. So with iScale Hub, we have some perks with Freshworks. You can use Freshworks for 1 year for free, and you can design sequences and everything. And we also have some other. We also have some perks for HubSpot as well. So if you check our website, iscalehub.com, you can see all the perks that we have available. if you are interested in any, let me know, because for any startups that we are dealing with as part of the programs, they are eligible for these perks.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Noemi, I see that you are raising your head. Your head.
Yeah.
Sorry, the hand.
And yeah, I hope you could hear me well. I had this many of ring. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
you were breaking a bit, but now I think it should be nice.
Okay. So maybe I will just write down this question.
Okay. Okay. This is my LinkedIn, by the way. If there's anything, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to connect. If you have any challenges, questions, sales prospecting, or anything else, just let me know. And I will also share the presentation with Elena, who will reshare the presentation with you. Any questions, just let me know. Okay, but I hope that you found the session insightful, and you can design your outreach based on these techniques. You base your findings or research on statistics. Do you follow up on changes in these statistics? So if I check whether there are any changes continuously, like the 5 follow-ups, etc., do you mean that? I assume it changes in time. Yes, yeah. I normally check it. In this space, sales, I do business development, sales prospecting for various companies. So yes, I see the statistics. Honestly, the statistics are good just for the big picture, for the mindset, but eventually what is really worse and what it means is to understand your ideal customer and to how to deal with them and how to approach them. But it really helps you to see that sales prospecting is a numbers game. So you really have to send out emails and more emails to people in order to get some feedback. And ideally 5 follow-up emails, unless you have to do it differently, since, I don't know, you are sending emails to embassies and you can't send 5 follow-up emails to an embassy because, I don't know, maybe they will be mad. Any questions, any notes, any challenges, any feedback?
I think it was perfect lecture, very brilliant, technical, like many useful results. I hope startups appreciate it. Sales, it's something that startups usually think that it will magically somehow happen by itself, but you really have to learn how to sell, or you have to have specific people who sell. Yeah.
So this workshop was not about one of the soft skills that, how you can pitch your solution. If anyone is interested, let me know, because I also have a separate stuff around that space, like sales pitch, etc. So I can maybe share some materials. But since it's more difficult, it's actually more difficult than pitching to find the right people and to fill your pipeline. And that's why we thought that in this program, this specific session would be helpful for you guys to really understand how to do this very first step in the sales cycle.
So guys, if you're happy, then we should thank you to our speaker today for this amazing information. Please give some reactions, maybe.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for attending.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. So thank you, and see you next Thursday for meetups with Sana Ross. Yes, and hopefully we see all each other, right, Tamas, during Wolf Summit.
Yeah, Wolf Summit. See you guys at Wolf Summit in person. Or if someone is at Podim, let me know. I'm also speaking at Podim in 16th of May next month in Maribor, Slovenia.
So all of you have a chance to connect through LinkedIn, through our page, or directly with Tamas with his page. So please use this chance to enlarge your network.
No, Noemi. See you there, Noemi.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a bright evening.
Thank
See
you.
guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good luck. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.